So until yesterday, if you remind, we were looking at the NumPy tutorials. First, in the first class, we even looked at the introduction to the Python programming, the various list tuples, and the various operations that we could perform with list and tuples, and their examples, and also some uh, working session with that. So these are the things that we had worked. And yesterday we had even seen how to construct the matrices, the uh, various functionalities that are available within this NumPy tutorial. And yesterday we started the pandas. And if you recall, we had run this all initial data sets. So as I was saying you, so this is just first we try to download the data set, and this data set, it is just nothing but an Excel. So general Excel, where so in this Excel, these are just the columns. So columns are just nothing but the features. Like let's say if these rows are the different customers. Let's say if 0 is one customer, so the columns can be the gender. So if number 1, let's say this first row is represents myself, which is Sandeep. So here the columns will be different features, or we can say columns or attributes or his characteristics. So like we can put here gender. So myself, the gender value will be male, and height will be around 6 feet, and then weight, it will be around 70 kg. And then my occupation, it will be an software engineer, and the company name. So here it will be an company name that will be mentioned. So in a similar way, so in a data set, so these columns, we call these by multiple names, like let's say columns, features, attributes, or characteristics. So these represent each column or attribute represents the various characteristics or features of the particular row, these row. So the number of rows indicates the number of customers or order transactions or any other the different. So the size of the data set. So number of rows indicates the number of size of the data set. So yesterday, let us proceed now. So if you remember, we had tried downloading this data set, and in this user movie reviews data set, we are downloading only. Okay, why? Let us just restart the notebook. I think there is some issue. So if you just see, so I am trying to download the dataset directly from the offline, but online. But in general, we can also just download the dataset to the offline server and then work on it. So since these days, why mostly we are even working in the cloud is because the size of the datasets are very huge. As I was saying, let's say the size of the customers or the size of the datasets that we are dealing are in millions or in crores sometimes. So I think there is some issue with this the link, the server is down. Yeah, so there is an issue from the server, but as I think yesterday, let's not run this and we will only proceed. So if you remember here, when I run this, I'm just saying I am extracting these columns, user ID, age, gender, occupation. And I'm just here. If you see yesterday, we had run this. And so here I'm just extracting only these particular attributes or columns from the data set. And I am just looking, when I say users.head, I'm just looking at the first five rows of the data set. And the shape indicates the total number of size of 943 user reviews are present in this data set. And users.age, when I wanted to separate only the age column. So in this age column, I'm just separating the age column and I'm looking at it. You can see that. So the different ages of the customers who has provided the reviews for that particular movies. And yesterday we had seen that I had started the I had shown you how to create a new column. So when we were trying to work on the list and tuples, we had seen how to create a new columns. So we had seen that how to concatenate two strings or two integers, one string and integer. So we had seen the several concatenation process before. So those concatenations we are using here. So if you see, I am just creating this new column by addition of the occupation and gender. So you see that this new column represents the occupation and gender of each customer. Here we are just doing the general concatenation that we had performed in the previous classes. So now describe. So describe is an important one of the functionality that we generally use in the statistical analysis. So whenever I say, if you see here users.describe, I am just passing the entire data set users. So this users data set is containing occupation, zip code, new column, the gender. But generally, the statistical analysis is only performed on integers or float, or let's say the numerical type of data, we can say. So what this describe does is it directly takes the data set and it performs the statistical analysis on all of the numerical data that is available. So if you see here, currently we have three types of numerical data here: user ID, age, and zip code. And the rest is, it is already not a numerical type, it is a string type. So that's why it is, it will neglect these. But if you see here, first let us see what describe does, and let's. So if you see here, for user ID, which is an integer column, it does the count. Count is just nothing but the total number of rows available. Mean is just nothing but sum of all the IDs divided by total number of customers that are present. That is 472. Standard deviation. So standard deviation is also one of the metric which will tell us what is the spread of the distribution that is available. So if you try to mark this over an two-dimensional plane, XY. So in a XY plane, if you try to represent this user ID, and so then it will try to indicate what is the length of the distribution that is available. So minimum, what is the minimum value? So minimum value is 1. So what here you can see the maximum value is 943. What is the 25th percentile, which is, I mean, like when you are trying to put in ascending order, these user ID, when you are trying to put in ascending order, and if you see what is the 25th percentile value, which is just nothing but if you put the values in ascending order, and if you wanted to see what is the 1/4 of the value, let's say if there are 100 values present from 1 to 100, if I wanted to get 25th or 1/4 part. 25 will be my 1/4 part. So in the similar way, so 236 is the 25th percentile. Out of 0 to 100, what is the half? What is the 50% value? It will be 50, right? In the similar way, 50th out of 943, the 50th percentile or half of the value will be 472. What is the 75th value? Not 75th, it will be 75th percentile value. So 707. So for any, if you see, we can at least we can understand what, whenever you say describe, we will get all these values just by saying, by using the describe function. In the similar way, by using age, if you see, you can understand that on an average, we have the average age value among the data set is 34. So which indicates that most of the reviewers who are giving the review for these movies are around 34. And the standard deviation is 12. So which indicates that most of all the customers that are present within this data set are 34 minus 12. So it indicates that your large number of population who are giving reviews are present from 22, which is 34 minus 12. So the standard deviation, as I was saying, it will indicate the curve, I mean the population that is present. You will be, when we talk more about the statistics, you will get an idea about this. So what is the minimum age? Minimum age is 7. Maximum age is 73. So some conclusions, let's say like the conclusions that we are drawing. So you can see that the average age that people are reviewing are 34. The standard deviation is 12. The minimum age is 7. Even a 7-year-old is also giving a review. And also the maximum age up to what we can extend is 73. So these kind of basic with the describe. So these kind of basic understanding can be drawn by using just the describe function itself. And coming to the next part, if you see here, we have 3 integer columns. One is user ID, second one is age, the third one is zip code. But why it is that the zip code has not been brought into the picture when I say describe? When I'm using the describe function, you see that out of 3 integer columns, we have only 2. The one of the column is missing. So when you come down, if you see what is the users dot date, if let us see the data types of these users, you can observe that the data type it is looking at here, the zip code has been declared as an object. So as I was explaining you, the describe function will only work on integer type of columns. So though it is an integer, this zip code is an integer, but it has been declared as an object. So that's why, so if you can see here, the zip code has been declared as an object. Due to this reason, we are unable to look at the statistics of this describe function. So once if you convert this zip code into integer, so that can, I mean, this zip code can be converted to an integer, and then we can then look at the value. So while we are looking at the zip code, so we are generally the describe function, as I said, it does directly with the integers. But we have an option called where we can even include objects and do the describe. So the describe option can be used, and then if we say include object also, now you can see that I'm doing for gender, which is this. So for generally, whenever we say object, so these are the statistics that we can perform for integers. But if there are strings included, so whenever you say object is something where it can include either integers or strings or anything. So for strings, the statistical analysis that we can do is, you can see here. So what is the statistical analysis that we can do is, let's say for gender, which is male or female, it is saying that the count is 943. The unique value are 2, which means that your number of subcategories. So out of this gender, you have 2 values, which is male and female. Let's say if your gender is having 3 different types, male, female, and transgender, then here the unique value will be 3. Unique just says that what are the different types of values that are present in that. So what is the top, which indicates that what is the most occurring value. So it is saying that male candidates are more from the data set. So you can just understand that from in my reviewer data set, most of the reviewers are male gender. And what is the frequency of these males? It is 670. So, and I'm understanding that out of my movie reviewers data set, I have 670 male candidates. In the similar way, occupation. In the occupation, I have 973. The unique value as 21. So it says that there are 21 different types of candidate occupations: technician, other, student. So currently we are just writer. Currently we are unable to see all those because I'm unable to expand. But it says that there are 21 different types of subcategories present in that attribute. So, and what is the frequency of the student? 196, which indicates that out of my movie reviewers data set, there are 196 students that are contributing to the movie reviews. In the similar way, zip code. So why, and also why this zip code has been tagged as an object, even though it is an integer? Because see, even though we perform statistical analysis on this zip code, there is nothing that you will be understanding from the statistical analysis. Statistical analysis is something where you need to understand. So this zip code, even though it is an integer, it just represents a place. Like let's say 85711 is a zip code for a country or a place, or let's say Washington DC. So it just indicates the Washington DC, which is nothing but a place. So when I have done the zip code analysis, it says that there are 795 unique values, which indicates that my movie reviewers are spread over 795 cities. And what is the top one? This 55414. Let us think that this is from Washington DC. So most number of reviewers are from Washington DC. And what is the count? So 9. So 9 reviewers are from Washington DC. So just from the basic data set, or you can see that how the pandas, what I'm trying to explain is, you can see that all this basic understanding is done from pandas. So you can load the data set from pandas, you can play around with the data, you can use the describe function. So all such functionalities are present within the pandas, and all such understanding and statistical analytics can be done by using this pandas. So if you see some other functionalities like columns, user.columns will indicate the total number of columns that are available. And if you want to rename, so we can even rename the columns, and we can do this. And within this pandas, we can even drop certain columns. Let's say if you feel that some of the columns are not necessary, so you can drop those columns, you can recreate the new columns. Recreation of the columns I have shown above, and dropping the columns we are seeing. So we have a direct function called drop, and we need to just mention the column names, which will just drop those columns. And so we can even drop multiple columns at a time by referring those column values 0 and 1. So, okay, I think here we have dropped the rows. So here, when you are saying axis is equal to 1, so it indicates the columns. So 0, so I am saying that if you see here, this is my data set. I'm out of this data set. When I say axis is equal to 1, it indicates the drop these columns, new column and age. And when I say axis is equal to 0, it indicates the rows. So if you see here, I'm asking drop the 0th row and first row in the data set. So if you see here, that's why previously it is starting from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. And here it is starting from 2, 3, 4, 5 because I have dropped the 0th row and first row. So we can even drop the rows and sorting. So we can even sort the data set based on a particular any column. So you can see that this is the data set, and we are trying to sort it. First, we are trying to read it here. Once we read, this is the head, and in this, I am trying to sort based on the title. So this is the title. I am asking movies.title.sort values. I'm asking to sort based on the title. So dot head. So it is saying it is sorting. So whenever I say sort values, it will be returning a series. So it is saying that 542 values are present for the days of summer movie. And five people, or at least we can understand, 5 people have given reviews for 12 Angry Men, 201 for 12 Years a Slave. So this is what it is present. It has given the count, and based on the, and I'm just asking head. After sorting, I am just asking for the top 5 values. Now, we can, here I have just taken the value separately, this title, and then I am looking at the sort values. Instead, we can even do the sorting and we can rearrange the data sets itself. So if you see here, I am asking to sort the values based on content rating and duration. So based on these two, I am asking to do, and then as you can see, duration is an integer. It will just do an ascending order. So if you see that 78 minutes is the least one, and you can see here it is increasing accordingly. So I have sorted the data set based on content rating and duration, and then it has sorted in the ascending order. I can even, so this has been already seen. So I can even filter out the rows based on a value. So you can see that out of movies dot in this data set, in the duration, movies dot duration, I am asking filter out only the movies which are greater than 200. So it is filtering out those movies, and I am asking get only the, after filtering out, I am asking it give me only this column. So what it is doing is it is extracting this column where if and only if the duration is greater than 200. So you can, all such functionalities can be done within. So this is generally, these are the data pre-processing. So what I'm trying to show you is, let's say these multiple things that I'm doing here is generally the part of data pre-processing within the data. So we get the data, you will be getting the raw data. So whenever you get the raw data, you need to perform the data pre-processing. So what I'm doing here is the data pre-processing. Like you wanted to see, you will be seeing, so all these multiple understanding, or let's say functions or data analysis, will be done whenever we get the data set. So all this this comes under the data pre-processing. So that's why I'm taking more time and stressing again and again why I'm doing and what I'm doing. And I'm also giving you various examples. So you can see, you can even apply multiple functionalities. You can see here, I'm just using AND operator, which is a bitwise operator. If you remember, I'm applying a bitwise operator. Here I'm applying, this is also a bitwise operator, greater than or equal to. If you remember, we have discussed these bitwise operators before. So by using bitwise operators, I am separating movies which are greater than 200 minutes, and if they are only related to the drama type genre. So in this way, we multiple types of functionalities can be done. So let's discuss the remaining in the tomorrow's class, the data pre-processing. Any doubts? Okay, handing over to Nagura.
యాక్చువల్లీ ఇందాక ఇన్ఫార్మ్ చేసాం, ఒక అరౌండ్ 6 to 8 మెంబర్స్ జాయిన్ అయ్యారు లాస్ట్ సెషన్. ఐ మీన్ మీరు జాయిన్ అవ్వక ముందు గూగుల్ ఫామ్ ఫిల్ చేయించాను. సతీష్, మీరు ఉన్నారు కదా సెషన్ లో?